All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus show. I'm One Bar. Lupagus is joining us in a little wooden box. And today we are going to be whipping out our tape measures, tail of the tape. We're going to be comparing position by position the Carolina Panthers against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I've actually been buried alive, like that movie with Ryan Reynolds. So help me, please. I'm out in the middle of the woods somewhere, and I am losing air quickly.
I'm just trying to figure out what movie you're talking about with Ryan Reynolds.
I think it's called like Buried Alive or something.
Sounds about right. So yes, the Carolina Panthers against the Minnesota Vikings. What a battle we got ourselves here.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a fun one. I told you my opinions on this before we started, and so let's not wait too long here. I think these teams are kind of evenly matched, kind of having a similar season. Let's see how they shake out in the length department.
Well, let's start off with the big talker. Let's start with quarterback. Obviously, we know that the Panthers quarterback is Mr. Teddy Bridgewater.
We do know that.
All right. Great insight. Teddy Bridgewater. They got PJ Walker, who started last week for them. I was a little nutty, but it appears Bridgewater will be back. Will Greer is their third stringer, and of course, Kirk Cousins and Sean the Man Mannion. So where do you got the Vikings shaking out on this one?
You know, this is kind of a tough one. I think Teddy, he's had some good games. He's had some not so great games this year. PJ Walker is definitely an upgrade over Sean Mannion, but God, Kirk Cousins has been playing so well lately. He's coming off a damn near perfect performance last week. By the slightest, it's the little speck of foreskin I'm going to give this to Kirk Cousins, but it's damn near a tie in my book.
Wow. Yeah. That's closer than I would have expected. I'm going Kirk Cousins. I know everybody loves Teddy Bridgewater, but when you look at Teddy's games and his stats and his numbers, and it doesn't all come down to numbers, he just looks like he's just having a Teddy Bridgewater type season. 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I don't know, averaging 7.7 yards per completion. So Kirk Cousins, I think, has more bang. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a safer quarterback, but yeah, I got Kirk Cousins, and I don't really have it that close.
I do. I think they're very, very, very similar. All right, what we got next?
We got the running backs. Christian McCaffrey appears to be out again. Mike Davis having quite the decent season for the Panthers this year, and then they got Trenton Cannon and some guys that really aren't even worth mentioning against the best damn running back in the league. So this one's already over in my book.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about other than I'm pretty sure I went to school with Trenton Cannon.
Really? Wow, I think that was Jonah. Mike Davis, so he's had some games. He's kind of a bruiser, getting some touchdowns, averaging 4 yards a carry. If this would be a much better discussion if Christian McCaffrey was here, because even if he was here, it would still be a very, very tough call.
Well, it's hard to say. You don't know how well Christian McCaffrey will be playing right now, and I think you'd have to base it on how they are doing at this point in the season, which it would be hard pressed for McCaffrey to match what Cook is doing right now. So I would say even with healthy McCaffrey, we'd go Dalvin Cook just because he's having a crazy-ass year this year.
Yeah, McCaffrey would probably have about 79 catches already, but yes, I think that's fair to say. Let's go to a little bit closer one. The wide receivers, the Carolina Panthers, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Farrell Cooper, and one and only Brandon Zylstra against the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. Thielen still, as of now, we don't know if he's going to play. So that has a big, it's a pretty big factor when you're comparing receivers, and then the rest of the turds the Vikings have. So in this scenario, I think we should do it that Thielen is not playing.
Well, if Thielen's not playing, this goes to the Carolina Panthers. They actually have a pretty nice little trio there with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel, who they'll use in a variety of ways. He can bite you in the ass if you're not watching wherever he lines up. So if Adam Thielen is out, this goes to the Carolina Panthers, and it's really not that close. If Thielen is playing, it's a little bit tighter, and Jesus, I guess I'd maybe go to the Vikings just because I think from a top end spot, they're a little heavier, and that's a little better than the Panthers' depth.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Anderson's a guy that just never seems to get the love that he probably deserves. He's got 71 catches, 818 yards, and a score. And DJ Moore is just that deep threat guy. I mean, he's averaging almost 19 yards a catch. He's got 863 yards on just 46 receptions. So They got some good receivers, but yeah, I'll agree with both ways you said it. If he's playing, we win by a pube on this one. If he's not, Carolina takes it, no problem. Curtis Samuel does scare me a little bit though, because they've used him out of the backfield a handful of times. He almost has 30 rushing attempts.
And Vikings just don't do well with those kind of players. So I think Samuel could be having a huge game.
All right, well, let's skip over the tight ends for now. Let's go to the offensive line. Left tackle Trent Scott, their left guard Chris Reed from Minnesota State. Center Matt Paradis came over from the Denver Broncos. Their right tackle right guard is Dennis Daly, kind of a late round gem they found a couple years ago. And then on the right side, the big man Taylor Mouton.
You loved Taylor Mouton coming.
I still love Taylor Mouton. He's having a great year. He is having a huge year for the Panthers.
Yeah, and the Vikings O-line coming off a not very great game against Dallas. But you look left to right. If we're comparing the right side of the line, going center over, I might give this to the Panthers. But I gotta be honest, I haven't heard of anybody on their left side, so I'm gonna go with the Vikings, even though I understand Tyler Mouton is pretty much the next I don't know.
Well, hey, first off, you show some respect. It's Taylor, not Tyler. And both tackles are actually playing pretty good. Trent Scott used to play for the Chargers, and he's been pretty good. I'm actually going with Carolina on this one. Their center's good. Their right tackle, like I said, Mouton is having a fantastic year, and Scott, everyone else is pretty much average. So pretty much average is better than some of our spots. So I'm giving this one on the Panthers.
Yeah, and the Vikings O-line, you never really know what you're going to get. So kind of a mystery box.
Brett Jones might just push this offensive line to the next level where we're elite.
I don't know. I only know Bush Jones, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. All right, let's go to tight end. We got Big Irv back. That was great to see him back last week. Their tight ends, Chris Manhertz and Ian Thomas.
Yeah. I know the Vikings tight ends haven't done much yet this year. They wouldn't get a couple catches a game, but I'm still going with Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph and even Konkononk. I think Konkononk would probably start over Manhertz and Thomas right now. So, Vikings, and it's not close.
Yeah, Ian Thomas is just really I believe he was a 4th-round pick a couple years ago. 12 receptions this year. Manhertz, 5 receptions. So tight ends are just the days of Greg Olsen are clearly over at Carolina.
Yeah, I can see him going tight end early in the 21 draft.
Whoa, spoiler alert to draft talk. All right, well, that is the offensive side of the ball. I think the Vikings did fairly well there. Not too shabby. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball, where, and I should say, offensively and defensively, when you're looking at overall team rankings, they're pretty much right in the middle, regardless of what you're looking at. So seems to be a very average team. Defensive line, Brian Burns, Bravion Roy, 1st-round big guy, Derek Brown, and 2nd-round pick, Yetur Gross-Matos.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers D-line. Brian Burns is probably the best player of anybody when you're talking about comparing them position by position. Yetur Gross-Matos, young guy with upside. Derek Brown, I'd love to have that kind of big, young D tackle in the middle of our line right now, something I really am craving. So I would go Panthers D-line, especially looking at how the Vikings played last week. I don't know how you could pick the Vikings D-line right now over any other one in the NFL.
Yeah, Brian Burns is having a hell of a season. Derek Brown seems to be pretty up and down, but man, he's gonna be good. Same with, and they do have Ife Obata, their backup defensive end. He's got like 4 sacks this year. So yeah, they got some good players on defensive line. That could be a little bit of an issue come Sunday.
Hell yeah. This is the Panthers, and they win this handedly.
Yeah, as I look at their roster, and when I was looking at it before we hopped on, is they got a lot of draft guys that I kind of had a little bit of a man crush on heading into this year. They got Gross-Matos, he was linked to the Vikings for a while. Derek Brown, I love that guy. And Jeremy Chin, we're talking about linebackers. Their linebacker, Shaq Thompson, Tahir Whitehead, Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, Chin can play safety, linebacker. He's having a great rookie season. Shaq Thompson, another great player, having a good year. And, Kirk Cousins kind of has fallen victim to some linebackers. He's thrown a couple picks to them this year. You saw it in the Falcons game. You saw it in the Seattle game. But Vikings, you got Eric Wilson, Eric Kendricks, and Troy Dye. This is close. I'm going to go Vikings just because I think Eric Kendricks is the best player of this group.
Yeah, we've said it before. It could be Eric Kendricks and you and me out there, and we're going to win a lot of these. So Eric Kendricks just puts us above everybody else, even though Carolina does have some good linebackers there. I'm going Vikings on this all day. In the secondary, they got another guy that I was in love with in the draft, and that's Troy Pride Jr. from Notre Dame, baby. But they got Dante Jackson. They got Justin Burris at safety, Trey Boston at safety, Russell Douglas at corner, and Troy Pride. What do you think of that?
Well, I think the Vikings got him at the safety position. Corners, I'd probably go Carolina. I'm going to call this one a push.
No, you can't call it a push. Not allowed.
What are you talking about?
Not allowed.
No, fine. Then I'm going Vikings because I think Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris are better than anybody on the other side of the ball.
Yeah. I'm going that way too. Carolina's given up 245 yards in the air. Vikings might be giving up more than that, but I would take the Vikings secondary over these guys. No problem at all. Push. The hell's that?
What can we do? A push?
No push, not allowed. All right, special teams. Let's see. They got Joey Sly is their kicker, and Joseph Charlton is their punter, and Farrell Cooper returns both kicks and punts.
When do we start calling it punts?
Punt kick.
I like it.
Old Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Punt kick.
Right now, I'm taking any special teams over the Vikings. It doesn't matter if it is the 2 hours Agates high school team. Vikings special teams is a mess. It's a wreck. It's disgusting. It's an embarrassment. And yeah, I will take the punter for the Carolina Panthers over the punter for the Minnesota Vikings.
Punt kick. Yeah, Joey Sly. He's 1 for 5 from 50 plus. Other than that, he's got a pretty good field goal percentage. And Farrell Cooper, he's a decent return guy. But yes, you said it. Doesn't matter who it is. The Viking special teams is overly disgusting. So Carolina, hands down, not even close.
Yeah.
Take Carolina's backup special teams to our current special teams. What do you think about them apples?
I agree. I think they're delicious, and I'm going to make applesauce out of them.
Yeah, never been a big applesauce guy.
Homemade, that's where it's at.
Yeah, well, those are our comparisons. I think it actually came out pretty damn even.
Yeah, I think this is 2 teams very similarly matched, evenly matched, having very similar seasons. You seen them hang in there with some tough teams. The Panthers actually won a couple of those games, and the Vikings did too. They beat the Packers, so it could be a fun one on Sunday. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be some points. I think there's gonna be a lot of action, and it's gonna be good to see Teddy on the other side of the ground. Hopefully, Odenabo puts him on his butt a few times.
I think Emil Odenabo maybe want him, but
all right, well, that's it. We got our preview coming up later this week. Lepidus is doing Schooling with the Enemy later, so be sure to check that out.
Heck yeah, and we learned a lot today about these 2 teams. We're going to learn one more thing. Music is just as addictive as cocaine. I'm going to snort me a song.